Hi everybody, I'm Mike. Welcome to my shop, Bubba's Workbench. Today on Hit or Miss Monday, I'm going to showcase the Harbor Freight Welder 225 torch. As you see, it fits onto these camping bottles, these little mini propane bottles. And the point of the video was that I'm a big fan of dual purpose, if you will, on tools. Now, within reason, of course, because many times when a tool can do more than one thing, it sacrifices in one area. You're not usually going to get the best of everything. So sometimes it's not always a good idea to get something that can be multiple use, because you might actually be sacrificing some quality just in order to save a buck. Then I saw this one day and realized many applications for this. First and foremost is, yes, you can use this for sweating pipes. Is that what I wrote on there? Sweating pipes, which normally you use those taller torch bottles. I think they refer to that as MAP gas. And those are fine, but I recently was pricing some of those, and they're pretty darn expensive. Now, when I saw this at Harbor Freight, I was a little hesitant because we know the quality of Harbor Freight, how it's hit or miss. And anything that has a potential for explosion, I'm a little leery of, as in the past I've bought these Texas matches, as some people call them, one of these torches for using on, when I'm firing up a fire pit or whatever. Well, the last one we got, go to use it the first time, and the whole tip just kind of blew apart. So the idea that I'm going to have now, right in my face, this little torch, made me a little leery. And in my opinion, the price is a little high to me as far as Harbor Freight standards. It's like a $17 torch, and I'm like, that's kind of surprising to me, that I would expect this not to be more than like $10, maybe $8, somewhere between 8 and 10. In any case, so what I see the potential in this, though, is for the woodworker and the metalworker, dual purpose, since in metalworking, as we stated, you could sweat a pipe, or as in their description, it says the blowtorch is ideal for sweating and thawing pipes, soldering, and burning weeds in a well-controlled, safe environment. Well, however, all of my tests, I didn't do any of those, but that shows you what you can use it for. Now, for the woodworker, what could you use this for? Well, for one, burning wood. Many people like to get the little burnt edge look, or if you want to go full-on shoshugiban, I think that's how you say that, you could use this for that as well. And then goes into the pros and cons. I mean, one of the biggest pros is the fact of how quickly it lights. It's very easy, little trigger. Not have to worry about a clicker on the end. Now we'll see how well that lasts, though, over time. I've been using this pretty extensively. It hasn't failed yet, but these little clickers, if you've ever had one on a barbecue, they go out very quickly. And let's see what else I have. Other than, it's convenient size. And one thing that I like a lot about it is the cheap price of the gas, and it's readily available. Where normally, if you have yourself a bigger torch, like the one I showed you, the Texas match style, you need a full-size propane tank. Well, one, that's not very easy to lug around, and it goes without saying that most of the time when we need gas, it's like after hours when a place that would sell propane would be closed. So with this, I mean, pretty much anywhere, Walmart, 24 hours, you can pick up these all day long. And they're only about $5, sometimes a little bit less if you get a multi-pack. So in that sense, for convenience and pricing, it's great. And then the other thing I do like about it is because you're using these little bottles, it's more stable. It has a more stable standing. And this is back to the woodworker. A lot of people like to, another popular thing is branding your work. People like to just heat up the end. Well, this is a lot more secure. If you have your, branding iron and you've got your fire bricks, you could have this set up there, and this is a lot safer of a setup. Some of the cons is, I don't like the adjustability of the flame. You don't have enough micro adjusting. The other one is the short length. I think this should be longer. It'd be a little easier to use. Dual purpose. What would a metal worker use this for? Well, in many applications, you say you're going to weld on a thicker piece of steel. It's good practice to heat up the steel first, so that works great. Now, what I was hoping this would allow me to do, so that I don't have to bust out, the heavy guns, oxy-settling setup, is to heat up a piece of steel hot enough that I can bend it. If it's a thicker piece of steel, normally I would just cold bend it, but if you want to do a heat bend, I tried that, and you'll see in my little test, it didn't work so good. Now, the piece of steel was rebar, 3/8 inch thick. It was starting to get orange. It was almost to the point of being malleable. it doesn't get to a fine enough point. And the other con was that the instructions are kind of vague, because when I was using this thing, a couple times I was having a problem, and there was this little cover. I'm not really sure what this is, if you call this the venturi right here, because this is where it's going to suck in the oxygen. Well, I had covered this, slid this thing forward, and it was covering the holes, which is a good practice to do. I do it when I'm not using it, just so that if you're clicking on it and you turn on the gas, it won't ignite prematurely. So you got to make sure to move that, because if not, then I was trying to get it to work, and I was almost thinking the thing had already broken. So what does the metal worker do? Well, in all fairness, the basic operation you would expect to use this for, it does well. It'll let you sweat pipes. And in the case of I wanted to coat my table, my welding table, with beeswax, great for melting beeswax, worked awesome. I mean, it will let you braze. I mean, I'm confident it'll allow you to braze, which basically is welding. You know, you're taking the two pieces of steel. Normally, brazing would be for cracks or in specialty metals. And you're going to inject a filler material. A lot of times you'll use brasses, or silica bronze is a popular one. And you take the filler rod, and you sometimes people lay it right in the crack, and then you just heat it and you melt it in. The same you do with solder. Excuse me. The same way you do it with solder, except for with soldering, you're heating up the joint, and then you pull the heat away and you put the solder to it, and then it pretty much sucks it in. As it's cooling, it pulls in the material. That's how you get such a good seal. So, and with brazing, probably what the most common use for that would be like in cast iron or some pot metals where you can't really weld those well. So with that said, we'll go ahead and roll the test videos and see what I use this for and how well it worked in each of those categories. So if this can get steel hot enough to weld, then there should be no reason why it can't get steel hot enough to bend. So that's what we're going to try out right now. So let me get all of my safety gear going here. So as you just saw, I was unsuccessful in heat bending it. I was anticipating better results. This should have easily been able to bend it, since I've done it many times before with my oxyacetylene. So I may retry the test, but for now I'm going to say it doesn't look like it works good for heat bending. Now, had that been thinner steel, you know, these are 3/8 inch thick. That's pretty thick to heat up. Something a little bit thinner, you know, 1/8 of an inch, it probably would have worked no problem. So we'll save that for another test. Well, I hope you found this video informative. If you did, smash that like button. And subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So until next time, you take care.